Hello, students. It has been a while since I recorded this last lecture. This is chapter 4 in Croy's book, where he talks about second declension nouns. The second declension nouns are nouns that end with either os or on. Os, you'll see, is the masculine nominative singular ending, while on is the neuter nominative singular ending. Those are the two types of nouns we're going to introduce today. So let's look at masculine nouns first. Now, masculine nouns have this chart inside of Croy with your nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, vocative. It's going to be the same 5 cases for any single noun. It doesn't matter if it's first declension, second declension, or even the third declension, which we're going to introduce in chapter 17. So at the end of every masculine noun, these are the endings that you will see. As for the neuter, as you see, there is not os in the nominative singular, but on. And not only that, but I want you to pay attention to the fact that the nominative, accusative, and vocative all share the same case for both the singular and the plural. The singular can have a variety of endings, but in the second declension, it's just on. But the plural, no matter what it is, if it is a neuter noun, it is going to end with a. So that's something you can keep in your mind. I believe it's also in the book. Please remember that because it will be a useful distinction for you later on. And so here they are side by side. Inside these lists, there are a few selections that kind of stick out and also emulate each other. And you can see some patterns in these when I put them together. So the first pattern is that the genitive singular for both end in u. The dative singular for both end in a iota subscript. The accusative singular in the masculine and the nominative, accusative, and vocative all end in on or a nu. In the nominative and accusative and vocative plural for the masculine, it ends in a iota, while in the nominative and vocative neuter, it ends in a. Every single genitive plural will always end in omega nu. It doesn't matter if it's masculine, neuter, or feminine, it will always be omega nu. So you don't have to worry about memorizing that after a while. As for the dative plural, you'll see it ends in iota sigma. I just wanted to compare this not only to the masculine and the neuter, but also to the feminine. So we're going to look at the words logos, meaning word, ergon, which means work, and hora, which is a feminine word we learned last chapter, meaning hour or time. So I'll give you an opportunity here to look at these and find some comparisons in them. See if anything sticks out. The first comparison is the genitive singular of the masculine and the neuter is an upsilon ending. The next one we can find is that in all 3, there is a iota subscript for the first and second declensions that help distinguish the dative singular. Not only that, but every accusative singular ends in nu, as well as the additional nominative and vocative for the neuter. In the masculine and feminine, both the nominative and vocative end in the iota, making oi or I. As I said prior, omega nu is your ending for the genitive plural. As for the dative, all of the plurals end in iota sigma. That is for masculine, feminine, and neuter. Now, this is interesting. The nominative singular masculine, the genitive singular feminine, and the accusative plural all end in sigma. And it's a little more complicated than that, but it is interesting to note these sigma endings. And also notice here I ran out of colors, so I had to go to highlighter, that the feminine nominative and vocative do not have an ending. It's just alpha. While the neuter plural always ends in alpha. And so I recommend pausing and taking out some highlighters if you have some to help train your brain to see the parallels to make it easy to remember. Because if you remember one, the other two are much easier to remember. And so now I want to look at how we can distinguish what the noun is doing in a sentence by its ending. So let's look at a few sentences. In this first sentence, we have Thanatos lue gain kai thalasan. Death destroys land and sea. Now I color-coded the endings. You have the sigma ending for the masculine nominative singular. That's how we know that that's the subject because it's nominative. We have lue, which is a third person singular present active indicative verb. And so we know that it needs a third person noun, which is thanatos. So we know that death destroys. And the neuter ending on gain and thalasan gives us our accusative. This is the object of what is destroyed. So the land and the sea. Now, I also want to take some time to help practice distinguishing that word order will not always be constant, and that we need to know these endings so that we can translate our sentences. So I switched the order around. So here we have gain kai thalasan, thanatos lue, but it means the same thing. In English, we would translate it the exact same way because the endings are the only thing that matter. That and more complex forms of word order, but we'll get to those much, much later once we get to adjectives. Here, it says land and sea, death destroys, but we would say in English, death destroys land and sea. Now, let's look at two more examples. Hatheos graphe, logos anthropon. As you see that graphe, that's actually supposed to be an accent mark, but I must have misclicked. That's besides the point. Real quick before I translate this sentence, I want to highlight hatheos. Hatheos is a form you'll often see in scripture, which refers to God. You know, ha means the, so the God, but we know in English there is only one God, so we know there's only one God it could be talking about in the New Testament. So we just translate it as God. But you often see hatheos. So here are the endings. You have that sigma for theos, so we know that's our subject. Graphe is a third person singular, present active indicative. So we know theos is the subject of graphe. Logos indicates that that is the direct object of the verb, and anthropo, which we know has the iota subscript. And the iota subscript lets us know that this is either to or for the man. That is what anthropo is. If you're unfamiliar with this vocabulary, you can also be looking at Croy, and the 4th chapter will tell you where anthropo is, and logos and theos are. And so God writes words to a man. We know that it is to or for a man. Logos is the accusative plural form of logos. So we know that he writes words to a man. And then also we have the second sentence, adelphe kai adelphos, blepusen tekna kuriou. So adelphe kai adelphos, those are nominative singular endings, a brother and a sister, or a sister and a brother. Blepusen, that is a third person plural present active indicative, meaning from blepo, I see. And so it is a sister and a brother see tekna kuriou. That is children of the Lord. That upsilon ending indicates that this is a genitive ending. So it's children of the Lord. And there I missed the accent mark on tekna again. I'm still getting used to this keyboard. Please bear with me on this. And so the endings, if you swap them around, do not impact the meaning of the sentence. To a man, God words writes. God writes words to a man. It means the same thing. Blepusen tekna kuriou, adelphe kai adelphos. A brother and a sister see children of the Lord. It means the same thing regardless of the word order, because it is the endings that help us know what it's saying. We can look for our subject first, which is the sigma final and the nominative singular, either alpha or eta in the first declension, and on in the neuter second declension. Tekna is a accusative form, but it is accusative plural, and teknon is the lexical form, which means children. It is neuter, and so the nominative plural and the accusative plural are the same. You might have gotten confused and thought that was a nominative plural, but no, it is an accusative plural. I just thought I'd take some time to point that out because that is something you will run into a lot. So God writes words to a man, and a sister and a brother see children of the Lord. Here's one more sentence I wanted to try, because this is also going to help you see that you can also have double genitives. Lego kurion ergon dulu. Lego, which is the present active indicative first person singular form. It is the lexical form, meaning I say or I speak. Or I tell. I tell kurion, which is the ends in nu, so we know that that is the accusative. So I tell a lord. Ergon, that is genitive, of works of a slave. So I tell, or I am telling a lord of works of a slave, is how we would translate that. And again, word order doesn't matter too much. Of works of a slave, a lord I tell. It's translated the same either way. And sometimes you can have a definite article missing. So here it would just be, I am telling a lord of the works of a slave. Sometimes it just sounds better in English that way. And that's all I have for y'all today. I hope that was a helpful look at how to see the endings and how they help us understand what the sentence is saying when it's not in our English word order. I wish you all the best, and please continue to study hard and study for small amounts every day. The Lord bless you.